Tangerine was released in 2015 and was directed by Sean Baker and stars Kitana, Kiki Rodriguez, Maya Taylor, and James Ransone, and follows the story of a transgender prostitute living in LA who is out of prison on Christmas Eve and begins searching for her pimp boyfriend. Guys, I'm excited to finally talk about this film on this channel. This is a movie I have been meaning to see for several years now, ever since I heard about it back in 2015, and it's on Netflix right now, so I thought this was my chance to finally sit down and watch this film that I have heard so much about. I had already seen one of Sean Baker's previous films, The Florida Project, and I really loved that film, so I was interested in seeing the film that really put him on the map, and this is a absolute delight of a film, and I loved this film from beginning to end. Now, when people talk about this film, they mainly focus on the technical aspects of it, and that's what I'm going to be discussing first. Now, this film is a very low-budget film. It only cost around $100,000 to make, and made almost $1 million at the box office, and was filmed using 3 iPhone 5Ss, which is a very experimental way of filmmaking that has gotten more and more popular with directors such as Steven Soderbergh, who did Unsane and High Flying Bird for Netflix. But I think out of all these films that I just mentioned, I think that Tangerine is able to capture this style of filmmaking using iPhones the best. Sean Baker really did his research before making this film, trying to figure out exactly what you would do with filming with an iPhone, and he used various apps, he used different kinds of lenses that he bought, he used Steadicams, he used what he could for the iPhone, and all this stuff was rather cheap, so he was able to then spend a lot more money on locations. And at the heart of the film, this is the reason to truly watch this film, is the filmmaking on display, because though it is filmed on an iPhone and it doesn't look the most fluent in filmmaking, it doesn't look the best. It still looks like you're watching a movie that was filmed on an iPhone. It's what it is able to capture and do with what it has that makes it work, because we are dealing with a story with prostitutes in LA, and the film looks rather sleazy. And the film is sleazy. I mean, we're dealing with a lot here, a lot of adult themes, and the filmmaking on display is able to capture that perfectly. The orange glow that is throughout this entire film just makes this world of LA just come to life and look very, very ugly all the same. And really, the LA landscape is a character in this film, and I looked up this interview, and Sean Baker, when he makes his movies, he really comes out with the setting first, and then weaves his characters into the setting. And I think that's an interesting approach to filmmaking, and it really makes LA come to life in this film, and just the look of it, the orange glow, the tangerine look of the LA sunset, which is why this movie is called Tangerine in the first place. It all is just extremely well crafted and the reason to watch this. If you are interested in low budget filmmaking or just filmmaking in general and you don't have access to a nice camera, then this is something that you could do. It is doable and it is rather cheap, and Sean Baker was able to make this work. And I would definitely say that this movie reminded me in a lot of ways of one of my other favorite movies of all time, Clerks, which was another low-budget film that isn't the most, filmic of films, but is able to capture a certain mood and do something with clever writing that is groundbreaking. And I would say that this film, too, is very groundbreaking. Now, let me get into the actual story. We focus on the transgender prostitute, Cinderella, who just leaves prison looking for her pimp, and I absolutely love this character. In fact, I love all the characters in this movie. Everyone is just so bright and colorful in terms of their characters and their performances. The actors and actresses are wonderful in this film and really put you in this world, and they feel raw and believable. The performances don't feel like acting a lot of times. And this is something I noticed with the director's film that I had seen that took place after this film, The Florida Project. The mother in that film just felt so real. Like, the director had literally picked her off the street and told her to be in the film, and that's kind of what you get here. But everybody just does such a fantastic job, and the writing is so clever and so funny. I laughed the entirety of this film. It was so funny seeing Cinderella get into these different bizarre situations, and as she is on the hunt for her pimp, and the things she gets into are so funny. But also, I love the character of Alexandra. She may be my favorite character in this film. She is so funny, so witty, and every line that she delivers is just so much fun. And the movie is just fun overall, despite the sleaziness underneath. I also really like how it develops certain plot lines. So there are definitely two stories going on simultaneously throughout this story. One that focuses on Cinderella's hunt for her pimp. The other dealing with this sleazy cab driver that, has to deal with different people on Christmas Eve, drunks, people that ramble on, and also he himself picking up prostitutes. There's this really funny scene where he picks up this prostitute played by the porn star Anna Fox, and he is disappointed to find out that she doesn't have a penis, and he kicks her out, and it's so funny. And there's this whole thing with his family, and eventually these two plot lines collide in the third act of the film, making for a very intense and extremely funny third act. But also, this film is filled with a lot of heart. Cinderella and Alexandra's relationship throughout this is really endearing. They feel like best friends. They really care for each other, even though one of them has done some terrible things to the other previously. And it's just a film that feels very raw, with real people dealing with real issues, and it's able to tell this compelling story through some really good comedy and some interesting filmmaking that makes it stand out from a lot of the other films that were coming out at the time, and I would say other films that are coming out even now. I love the filmmaking. I love the story. I love the characters. And I love what Sean Baker was able to craft with this film. This is one of my favorite films of all time now. I absolutely adored this film, and I can't really see anything wrong with it. It's just super compelling, and if you are somebody that wants to get into filmmaking, I would definitely recommend this movie for the filmmaking alone. You may not be as interested in the story. The story is rather simple, and it may not be up your alley, but definitely watch it for the filmmaking. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I'm going to give Tangerine a 9 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and stay positive.